So, for the most part, since Endgame ended, I was really not interested in seeing any MCU stuff or superhero movie related things, to be honest with you. The only thing that the MCU has put out since Endgame that I was genuinely 100% interested in seeing was Spider-Man No Way Home, and that in large part was due to the fact that we got hints that Tobey Maguire was gonna be in that film, and we've been waiting on a fourth Spider-Man movie from Tobey for a really long time, so it was good to get that as some sort of closure. And a lot of us were also waiting on that third Andrew Garfield Spider-Man film, so it was good to see those previous Spider-Man get their conclusion, if you want to call it that. But apart from No Way Home, I wasn't really interested in seeing most of the other MCU stuff. But now that I have taken some time to catch up on what's been going on since Endgame ended, and it looks like I was right for not being interested, because majority of these films were either mediocre or just okay. So I'm gonna give my thoughts on some of these films. Black Panther 2, my rating for Black Panther 2 right now as I sit here, probably a 6 out of 10. I think that the death scene of the Queen Mother was so unnecessary. I think that the final fight between Shuri as Black Panther against Namor was one of the least interesting final clash, or whatever you want to call it, that I've seen in not just MCU but superhero films overall. And it was kind of weird too, because Namor ended up surrendering, but he had the numbers advantage afterwards. And the weird thing about not just Black Panther 2 but a lot of these other superhero movies, especially the ones post Endgame, is that we know that other superheroes exist in this verse. So it's kind of weird for you to be tackling this huge enemy against your culture, your civilization, your part of the universe basically, and you're just going at it by yourself and some random side characters that we don't really care about. And one of the things that I found really hilarious on a bad writing side is like, it's the same white dude. He's not really that high ranking of an individual, but it's the same white dude that they established a relationship with from Black Panther Part 1. It's that same guy. That's the only real connection that they have outside of Wakanda. Like, forget about all the other superheroes and powerful people that they should have some connections with. It's just that same one white dude. So, but anyway, yeah. So Black Panther 2, I just think it was, it was whatever. It didn't really grip me at all. And Doctor Strange 2 was, I think, entertaining. It was one of the more entertaining films. However, when I really sat back and thought about a lot of the things that happened in Doctor Strange 2, I was like, hey, if this was a novel, this would be one of the most entertaining, poorly written novel of all time. There's a bunch of stuff that happened in this film that was just, it was literally just random stuff. Like, they gave Wanda a power in a scene, and then in another scene, rather than her using that same ability, she just doesn't for whatever reason. It's just like, Wanda can do this because Wanda can do this because Wanda can do that because. That's just how the movie flings all these crazy powers from the Scarlet Witch at us. And the Illuminati scene, in my opinion, it's in the conversation for being the stupidest scene in the entirety of the MCU. That was ridiculous. They should have just cut that entire section out of the film. It made no sense at all. Complete stupidity. That scene, I would give that a negative 10 out of 10. That Illuminati scene, absolutely pathetic. But that being said, Doctor Strange 2 was still entertaining, and they should have removed the multiverse thing out of the title as well, because that didn't really play that big of a role. But anyway, Doctor Strange 2, I would give that a I don't know, 5.5 out of 10, I guess. This is where my rating would be. Thor, Love and Thunder. Now, I was really interested in seeing this film after realizing that Jane Foster was gonna have Thor-like abilities. I actually thought that what they would do would be that Jane actually has Thor's power and Thor doesn't really have any power, but then afterwards I'm like, they did that already. Well, they did the whole Thor not having any power thing already, so they wouldn't have done that. But I thought that Jane was gonna be like the main one, the more powerful one for a while until Thor surpasses her or whatever. I thought that they were gonna dive a little bit more into the whole Jane being Thor, Jane being, we being mighty Thor or whatever. I thought they were gonna dive a little bit deeper into that. But no, this film, after seeing it, and the whole Gore the God Butcher thing where outside of a self-defense kill, he didn't do a single God butchering on screen. Which was kind of pathetic. Well, not kind of pathetic, fully pathetic. And they did the normal trope that we're seeing being done in multiple movies nowadays. We're not really seeing full-blown evil characters anymore like that. They're trying to flip it where they committed this act accidentally, or towards the end of their arc, they're like, hey, I regret doing this thing, so I'm gonna sacrifice myself to do this good thing. We're seeing a lot of these villains do that in multiple stories right now. Most of them I didn't really like, so they did that with Gore, where it's like, hey, protect my daughter, blah 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 blah. But yeah, this was an unnecessary movie. If this was all that they could have come up with for a fourth Thor film, they should have just stopped with part 3 and leave it at that. I like the goats, though, despite what a lot of people online are hating on the goats, but I like them. I give Thor Love and Thunder a 5 out of 10.
If not, we can just use them for meat. People.
What else did I see? Oh yeah, WandaVision. And this was a huge reason why I felt like Wanda's character in Doctor Strange 2 for the most part did not make any sense. Towards the end of WandaVision, we didn't get the sense that she was going to be this full-blown villain and do all the things that she did in Doctor Strange 2 based on what happened in WandaVision. I think that the first half of the WandaVision series was really good. Like, overall, I think that it would be one of the better things that the MCU has done since Endgame. Overall, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I'd give it a 7 out of 10 overall. But again, it was kind of weird for there to not be any of the other Avengers taking part in WandaVision, apart from Wanda and Vision. Like, the actual heavy hitters, it was kind of weird for no one at all to be aware of what Wanda was doing there. Yeah, and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So there's an Avengers series. I would recommend you guys to watch this. It was during the 2010s, where Kang the Conqueror was one of the best villains in that series. I'm not even sure what to say about this film, honestly. I'm not sure what to say about this film. If I had paid my money, good money, to watch Quantumania in the theaters, I'd probably fling myself off a cliff after stepping out of that. Because I that's like burning money. That's pretty much like burning money. Like,
you led them straight to us.
First off, Hope's mom. I didn't get why she took that long to actually reveal to them what happened with her and Kang in the quantum realm. Like, this was just a weird film. 5 out of 10. Let's move on to something else. Okay, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. No, I saw something from a YouTube channel where they were comparing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 they were comparing it with another film. I don't remember what other MCU film they were comparing it to, but they were comparing it to another film, and they were like, hey, this film failed where Guardians 3 excelled, and this film was pretty much mediocre where Guardians of the Galaxy was a timeless classic. I don't think I would go that far to call Guardians 3 a timeless classic. A classic, in my opinion, is anything that would get an 8 or more out of 10. Overall, I don't think that Guardians was that. It is probably the best out of the 3 Guardians movies that we've gotten. It's probably the best one, but I don't think I would go that far. I think that it's more of a 7 out of 10 for me personally. I like the fact that we got a truly despicable villain in the High Evolutionary, and I like Rocket's backstory. It was really sad. I'm a pet lover. I found that really sad, his backstory and what happened with his friends, what happened to his friends as well. And I really like the end theme, the Badlands. To this day, Badlands from Bruce Springsteen. I still have that on my playlist, listening to it on the regular due to what Guardians did. And they know, for the most part, they normally have good music in the Guardians films. Gamora I'm not sure how I feel about this new Gamora. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of the multiverse stuff. But anyway, yeah, so Guardians 3 is probably the second best MCU film after Endgame, behind No Way Home, of course. So yeah, it was okay. It wasn't bad, it was good. So there. So we finally got to a good MCU film. Still wouldn't call it a classic though. I forgot about the Eternals. So I did watch the Eternals as well, and I like multiple viewpoint stories. But I feel like this film, if you were gonna give us this many characters, I feel like this should have been like a 2-part type of film. Yeah, for the most part, I think that this was just a boring film, honestly. Yeah, I don't think that Eternals was just meh. I'd give Eternals a this is one that I would actually give less than a passing mark. I'd give it a 4 out of 10, honestly. And the only other thing that I have watched, which I'm currently watching, is Agatha All Along. So if you're wondering that, hey, you know, what about Shang-Chi, and what about, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and what about Loki and Echo and all the other stuff, I'm not really that interested in seeing those other things. And this seems like a good time for me to explain my philosophy on reviews. So there are channels like Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic and some other reviewers where it seems like their channel is built around toxicity and around bashing certain series. For me personally, I feel like that is unhealthy for me to just, unless I'm being paid a significant amount of money, like huge amounts, which I don't think anyone is going to be that interested in hearing you bashing something, to be throwing a shipload of cash at you just to hear you badger another person's work. So my philosophy as a reviewer, as a consumer of art, is that I'm not going to actively seek out things that I feel I would not vibe with. I'm not going to actively seek those things out and then get all pissed off, be like, oh, and this is horrible, and this is awful, and modern entertainment is trash, and all of that. That is not me. So that is not my philosophy. That's what those guys do. Whatever, they seem to be successful at it, but that's not me. I think that is far better, far healthier, and as a creative myself, as an actual creator, an actual writer, I would rather experience the good stuff mainly and learn from that, see where the good stuff could actually be improved on, rather than spend my time in the bottom of the barrel going through hell reviewing absolute crap. So I'm not gonna go through the entire MCU stuff, because my opinion is that the vibe that I'm getting, I don't think that I would like the Marvels. I don't think I would like Miss Marvel. She-Hulk, I might be interested in it because of, you know, She-Hulk's comic book character and my thing for tall women at times. So I might at some point watch She-Hulk, but I don't think that I would like it. A lot of the other stuff, Shang-Chi, Jessica Jones, so most of the other stuff, I don't think I'm going to go through that. My philosophy as a reviewer is to objectively choose something that I'm interested in, like my soul is interested in. I don't think that a lot of the toxic, the negative content creating reviewers, I feel like they know that something is bad. They know that they're not going to like something, and they still go out to watch it. And what makes it look even more foolish is that on top of watching it, you know that you're gonna hate it, you go and watch it, and then you're pissed off that you hate it. Like, but why are you putting yourself through that hell? So I am not like that. If you hear me bashing a series or a movie, it is because I went into it believing that I would like it, or for whatever reason I didn't have anything better to do, and I figured that this is based on the premise that I read or whatever, it is kind of a 50-50 chance I may like it or I may not like it, and then I would say that, okay, this was a flip of a coin, I didn't like it, and go from there. And then if it's a series and I didn't like season 1 or movie 1, I'm not gonna go and watch part 2 and movie 2 or whatever, like what a number of these dudes online do. I just feel like it's mentally and physically unhealthy to do that. My opinion, for me personally. So I'm saying all of that to say that do not expect me to go through the entire slate of Marvel stuff that they dropped since then I'm watching Agatha all along right now, and I feel like I might drop it. I think that I'm gonna watch like one more episode. I've watched the first 3 episodes. I'm gonna watch the 4th one, and depending on what I see in that 4th episode, I'm out. I think that Agatha All Along episode 3 might be the single worst live action series episode that I've ever seen. I think that might be the worst one. I'm sure that a lot of the review bashers would probably come up with several other things that they think is just as bad as that, but that is why I'm happy that I'm not them, because I'm not going to go through years of my life watching crappy stuff. I may give something a full season. If it turns out that it's not for me and I don't like it, that is it, I'm out. So episode 3 of Agatha All Along was the first episode I can remember in my life where I watched something and I knew that it was acting. I knew that, like, I've actually gone and watched live plays where people are on stage with their props and whatever, and I'm pulled in more than what I saw from Agatha episode 3. Like, that was ridiculous. The acting, it actually felt like they were pretending. It didn't feel genuine. Like, acting, you're supposed to be so moving with your performances and the overall story that the audience is pulled in. Like, they forget that it is actually fictional. They forget that it's just something that they're watching, because no, if someone dies, they were pulled in so much to what they're experiencing that they shed a tear, or something really hilarious happened and they just laugh uncontrollably. That didn't happen for me in Agatha episode 3, and depending on what I see for episode 4, I think that I'm gonna be out on that. That's something that I'm happy that I'm that type of a person, really, because I'm not gonna sit through the entire season after seeing bad acting, bad writing. I don't think even the music was good at all in episode 3. Like, it was just horrible all around, which was why I was surprised to see some reviewers, John Campia for example, said that he is hooked and whatever, and I've seen some of his reviews. For the most part, I guess he usually has good tastes and good perspectives, but I think that he's just far off with that, and other reviewers as well who would claim that Agatha All Along episode 3 was this great thing. If I was to give it a rating, I'd honestly give it a 1 out of 10, and that's because I can't really give it a 0 out of 10. The 1 out of 10 is actually for the character that died, Mrs. Hart or whatever. She had a couple moments where I kind of liked, but outside of that, it was just crap after crap after crap after crap. And that is pretty much all of the stuff that I have seen post Endgame. The absolute best is Spider-Man No Way Home. I haven't rewatched that. I've only watched that once on the big screen. I would honestly give it a 9 out of 10, probably 9.5 right now. That's just how I feel right now. 9.5, probably lean 9.5 right now out of 10. And then the second best would be Guardians Volume 3, which I would give a 7 out of 10. Everything else, literally everything else, I think would be a 6.5 or lower. And what I've seen from Agatha All Along right now, I don't think I'm going to go through the whole season, if I'm being honest with you, but maybe they flip a switch in episode 4, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through the remainder of the season. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I said a lot in this video. What do you think about my philosophy and my opinion on the reviewers? What do you think about what my overall thoughts on the stuff that I saw? And maybe you would think that there's something that I haven't seen that's truly great, truly would fit my style, and I probably should watch it, maybe. But anyway, that is it. Peace.